Hello everyone, Eureka Forsyth here, and today I will be talking about all the books that I read in January. Without further ado, let us move to my cozy reading nook. Here we go. Okay, how is everybody doing today? I'm doing pretty good. I got some water nearby if I need some hydration. Yeah, it's a little bit late, but let us get on with it, I suppose. Okay, the first book that I read in January is The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. So I listened to the audiobook for this, and it is narrated by Lorna Bennett, Lauren Anthony, and Lauren Irwin. All of the narrators did a pretty good job, especially the voices for Nella and Caroline. You could really tell with the way they narrate their parts that it feels very distinct which character comes from the past and which character belongs in the in the present. So this book is told in multiple POVs. I won't say too much about that because they'll be sort of spoilery. So if you're interested in this book, you can find out about that. This book is set sometime during the 18th century of England, and the main thing from the past talks about this apothecary, which is run by Nella. Wait, Nella? Yes, Nella, not, I almost said Nelly. Nella, who is, the main thing about this story, let me go and open up Storygraph, because it's been a while, I need to refresh my memory. Okay, give me a few seconds. Okay. So it's run by Nella, who sells like medicines and stuff. She has taken over her mother's apothecary shop, but other than that, she also does sell, as the description puts it, well-disguised poisons to use against the oppressive men in their lives. So that's very interesting regarding that part within the story. And then we also follow the perspective of Caroline, who is a would-be historian, and she's feeling a little bit lost in her life, and she ends up going to her anniversary trip, which she was supposed to take with her husband, but she ends up going by herself to England, and then getting caught up with finding out about the plot of what happens with Nella and her story, which is really interesting and fun to see intersect when that happens in the book. The book is also pretty well researched. You can really tell the author did a lot of research about apothecaries from that time in England, and also specifically some of the poisons that Nella implements for some of the characters in her storyline as well, which is pretty cool. And it's always good to be able to read a story that is well researched and the author just knows what they're talking about. You can be surprised. There's some books that are not very well researched, and it's definitely something as a reader that you can tell. So yeah, that is a very good plus for this story. And the final thing that I put down in my notes for The Lost Apothecary is that I liked that the afterword contained some recipes that are sort of related to points within the book as well, The Lost Apothecary, both from the past and the present POVs, which is pretty cool. Just a nice little thing that the author added at the end as a treat, which I like. Overall, I gave this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. Also, as a little note, let me put this away now that I'm finished. I don't really like to do monthly wrap-ups that much, but I do think they are helpful for like people who are interested in watching wrap-ups, and also for me in the future when I like do like a whole big like the end of the year wrap-up. That will be definitely very helpful to refresh my memory in the future when I need to make that stream in the future, because I will definitely forget about my pretty much all of my initial thoughts for these books. So this is a good quality of life thing to do for myself in the future. And it's a little bit less stressful for me to do it within a stream format, so I will continue doing these sorts of wrap-up stream, not videos, I guess a wrap-up stream in this kind of format. It will be much more easier for me on my part. Make it easier for myself and all that. But anyway, let us continue to the second book that I read. The second book that I read is The Violin Conspiracy by Brendan Slocum. So, this book I also read in audiobook format, and it is narrated by the author himself, and also by J.D. Jackson. Ben Slocum reads his dedications in the beginning and narrates his afterword. J.D. Jackson narrates the story. The narrator has a very soothing and robust voice to listen to. Definitely very comfy to listen to if you want to fall asleep with an audiobook on. And I appreciate that he doesn't give the female characters in the story cartoony or exaggerated voices, but instead just raises his voice to a realistic octave and softens his voice a bit when narrating them. I've also noticed like some male audiobook narrators, I don't really appreciate the way that they read out the female characters within the books. Just like read them like a regular normal person, I suppose, if that makes sense, hopefully. So I'm very glad that this narrator just reads them in like putting a little different of a tonal emphasis for those characters. But yeah, anyway, continuing on, the protag is very likable. I really, really like following Ray's just his whole story throughout the book. It's just, he's just a very relatable character. I especially want to note the part in the beginning of the book. So this isn't really spoilery, but it does talk a little bit about the beginning of the book. So if you don't want to hear that, you can mute or hit the back button if you don't want to listen to this part. But I found it super relatable when he was like thinking after his violin is stolen. It's basically in the description, so that isn't so much as a spoiler. But his violin gets stolen and he's like reflecting on that, and he's saying like, oh, maybe I should have ordered orange juice instead of apple juice, or it was vice versa. And it's like, maybe if I just ordered something different for my breakfast, this wouldn't have happened, or something and some such for his girlfriend's breakfast as well. He's just like, if I just did that, maybe my violin wouldn't have gotten stolen. And like, I think that way too sometimes when something bad happens to me, and I'm just like, this is way too real. I just like that little detail about his character, and some of the parts where he's like very anxious or has like moments where he's like battling with his like anxiety is also relatable as well. And also the book is a lot more funny than I initially thought. I actually chuckled a bit at some points. I like the little random sprinklings of dark humor as well within the book. I think it fits. It fits very well. It was surprising, but it fit very well within the story. And also, an important aspect of the book talks about how difficult it is to make it as a black musician, especially within the classical sphere of the music world. And also, in relation to that, the racism that Ray faces, both as a classical musician and within his day-to-day life as a black man as well, is a very important part that gets discussed a lot about within the book as well. Another thing I wanted to talk about for the book is how the prose is just very beautiful. It is really, really incredibly written, especially the parts where Ray is performing. The way the music is described is almost magical. I think the best way I could describe it is like watching Fantasia, like the anthology movie Fantasia, and how like the animations follow the flow and the beats of the music chosen for each short. It's just really, really beautiful the way it's described, and I definitely want to read this book again with my eyes, because I really want to listen to all of the pieces that were performed by Ray and also some of the other musicians, but mostly Ray, of course, and his choice, because excuse me, let me mute for a second. Alrighty. Sorry, just had to drink some water really quick, and also I was burping, so excuse me for that. But yeah, back to talking about the pieces that Ray performed. It was just, oh my gosh, it was just, I need to like make like a little playlist of like all of the pieces that he performed and just listen to them at some point. I need to remind myself to do that. And I would more accurately describe this book as a slice of life book with mystery and thriller elements. I think there is literally only one moment I would dub as solely thriller-like, and it really throws off the whole tone that the author built up from the beginning of the book. The vibe was really off, because it was mostly the mystery part definitely makes sense. The mystery, especially of like the Ray's Stradivarius disappearing, happens pretty much in the beginning of chapter 1, so that makes sense, the mystery elements, but the thriller aspect doesn't. It feels very out of place. That is just the way that I would describe it. And the whole section where the thriller part happens is just so tonally different from the rest of the book, so it just feels very off. I couldn't help but dock a few points off this of my overall rating at the end, sadly, because it just really threw me off after reading that part. After that, the tone pretty much goes back to the way it was from before, but yeah, that's all I can really say for that part. Also, I really liked how the relationships that Ray has with his family is very complicated, but I especially love the sweet and touching relationship he has with his grandma and his one aunt. It's very nice to just see, even with all the chaos that is brought on by his own family, and what was the other family? Let me see. Let me check really quick. Those other people that were claiming that his family's violin belongs to them. Yeah, really hate those characters. But yeah, I don't want to talk about them anymore, because they suck. If you read the book, you will know why they suck so much. But yeah, I just really enjoy the close and very loving and sweet relationship he has with his grandma, and also later on with his aunt as well. And lastly, you know right away that the author really knows his stuff in regards to all of the information that's talked about within the classical music world, which makes sense as Ben Slocum is an established musician and music educator himself, alongside being an established author now with two novels, including this one, The Violin Conspiracy, and what is the other one? I definitely want to read his other book as well. Symphony of Secrets, yes. Another book about music as well. So I'll probably be reading that soon as well, because that looks super interesting. And yeah, my overall rating for this book is 4.75 out of 5 stars. Okay. The next book is Days at the Morisaki Bookshop by Satoshi Yagisawa. Satoshi Yagisawa, yes. This book really does give off the vibe and feel of a slice of life anime. The pace of the book, the pace of the story feels a medium pace, but I really flew through this book. This was a book I read the ebook. And the feeling that it gives off is really hopeful and warm throughout it. I would definitely recommend this book to someone who is feeling aimless and lost in their life. It will hopefully give you the push you need to start again and get yourself back on track. At your own pace. I like when the novel mentions the books the characters read, which lists off some, I think, classical novels written by renowned classical Japanese authors. So I think I will probably make like a little compilation and see if I can find some of those books, hopefully translated into English to read. Maybe for a future video or stream of some sort. We will see. Also, a huge part of the book is the growing relationship between Takako and her uncle is especially heartwarming and sweet. I love how open her uncle is with saying how much he cares for Takako and isn't afraid to tell her outright how much he loves her. I haven't read many books that center a relationship between an uncle and niece, so it's nice to see a familial relationship like this be a centerpiece in such a wholesome and loving way. Yeah, it's just very sweet seeing the gradual relationship of how Takako views her uncle, and also her discovering his feelings for her that he has since she was like basically like a baby, and how much how much Takako has helped him with his own life. And it's just really nice. I won't say much more. I just like that. It's nice to see a familial relationship like that. Like I said before, just be a very important core to this story. Yes. Yeah, if you want to know more, definitely check this book out. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. Okay. Let me take another sip of water real quick. Excuse me. Okay, I am back. Let me take this off. Put this here. Alrighty. The next book that I read was All Systems Red by Martha Wells. And I listened to the audiobook, and the audiobook is narrated by Kevin R. Free. I love how he does a stellar job at delivering the sarcastic, somewhat cold, and clinical voice of Murderbot. He really nails Murderbot's tone perfectly. I also appreciate the way he voices the female characters within the human cast, bringing his voice to a realistic octave and softening it to make it distinct from the male voices he narrates. So, we follow the main character who dubs themselves as Murderbot, and they are a security android that works for the company. So Murderbot says pretty much in the beginning that they have severed their link to being monitored from the company. So they're kind of like a rogue security bot in that aspect. So they use this freedom to half-ass their tasks and enjoy consuming media, especially TV shows and movies, whenever they have downtime from their security android tasks. I suppose. I really love the way the author describes the setting within the book, especially the parts where the scientists are reviewing the surroundings. I think on another planet, I'm guessing. I'm pretty sure. So she does a really great job with really making you feel like you're with Murderbot and the crew that they've been assigned to. I think something that confused me is what Murderbot looks like. It was a little bit hard for me to visualize what they actually look like. So the company issued security androids are described with having cyborg parts, but that doesn't really make sense because I kind of like to call myself an expert on the different kinds of robots and also of human individuals with robotic parts. So it's not very possible to have cyborg parts, because a cyborg is a human who is fitted with artificial, cybernetic, robotic, or augmented parts. An android is simply a robot that is modeled to have the appearance of a human. I am an android, I would know. So I can't help but dock some points to my overall rating because I don't want to be spoilery, but I guess I would have to say it here. So if you don't want to be spoiled on what Murderbot looks like, I guess maybe mute this part and just step away for a few seconds while I describe it. So I will start it now. So Murderbot is described to have, I think, lab grown parts. So like synthetically, artificially created human parts. That part is not too hard to digest, but then, so they have a humanoid head. They basically have the body of like a human, and they can self-generate, and it takes like about a cycle to regrow their parts. So that is interesting. So it's just difficult for me to imagine that being like, you can only be like one. They're an android, so the technology involved with them having self-generating parts is interesting, but like I'm just confused with the part with them being also identified as a cyborg, because they aren't human. They're they're a robot, essentially. An android, specifically. So, I don't know. I hope it will be... I hope the author talks about that more in the next book. I'm definitely going to be reading the sequel. I really want to follow this series. I like it a lot. So I hope she goes into that, because I'm just very confused how that can possibly be. But I mean, it's fiction, so I guess anything can happen, but it's still a little bit confusing. What is the next book within this series? So this one is called All Systems Red, and is part of the series called The Murderbot Diaries. So the second book is called Artificial Condition, and I will also be reading it through an audiobook format as well, because I really enjoyed how the narrator, Kevin R. Free, narrated the first book. So I am happy to just continue on. If he continues to being the narrator for this whole series, I will gladly continue with listening it through an audiobook format. I guess that will be all for this, because it is a very short... How long is it in the book format? Let me see. It is... Yes, it's super short. It's a novella, I'm pretty sure, and it's only 152 pages, so I won't say anything more, because if I do say any more, it will be heavy spoiler territory. So I will just leave my review for this book here. I love the sci-fi futuristic setting. Really, I think that is like the high point, one of the best parts of this book. So if you like atmospheric sci-fi reads, this will be something for you. I gave this book... Excuse me for a second. Didn't mean to put a cliffhangery moment as I took a sip of water, but my rating for this book is a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Okay, let me put this away and put out the last book that I read. Let me get my notes for this. Okay, this is Flux, written by... Oh my gosh. Yes. Sorry. This is Flux, written by Jinu Chung. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Please correct me if I did not. I also listened to this in audiobook format. So it is narrated by... Excuse me, oh my gosh. It is narrated by David Lee Huynh, a fantastic narrator. He really gets into basically outright voice acting certain parts in this book. Like, especially during like an incredibly emotionally charged scene, for example. Just excellent work from this guy. But yes, we follow the perspectives of 3 men, Bo, Brandon, and Blue. And it is, in the background, also about a startup tech company who finds out and exploits time travel, basically. And these 3 men that we follow throughout the story get caught up into it. Alright, what do I have next? Also, in the backdrop stars Brandon's favorite childhood hero from the hit 80s show Raider. I think Brandon's relationship with Raider is one of the most interesting relationships I've ever read. It's interesting because it is Brandon's personal relationship with his like favorite like childhood hero / favorite fictional character, and I just like the extra layer beneath that makes it have like more depth and is just super interesting, because not only does Brandon see, I'm pretty sure, Raider, I feel really bad if I don't remember the characters, the detective's name, I think his name is Raider, and how he's like basically Brandon's like comfort, like his comfort character, and also how he uses Raider as like a crutch when he has to like face or is going through like a difficult situation. He basically like monologues and talks to Raider as if he's like a real person, and says things along the lines of like, well, if you could see me now, like I wish I could be you, and like lines like that, like something you feel like you would hear a character say to like another character, but he's referring to a fictional character that he greatly admires and loves, which I guess is also kind of meta in its own way, because he's a fictional character within a book, but of course Brandon doesn't know that. And then he also is talking about a fictional character that he loves and really cares about, who's also not real as well. I just thought of that, and that just makes it have an even more deeper meaning within the grand context of the book. Let's see. One of the out of the three perspectives, we mainly follow Brandon, who's a 28-year-old man who works in I think a magazine publishing firm, if I remember correctly. He is messy. He is a very interesting and intriguing character, and I personally really like him a lot. I feel some people would probably not like him because of how messy he is, but one of my main things is that I love messy and most likely unlikable characters. I think he's a very fascinating character to follow throughout the book, and I like him a lot. The story also tackles family relationships, specifically Brandon's relationship with his father and his younger brother, and also the established but also absent relationship that he has with his mother as well. Also, the tone is like very trippy and surreal at times. I thought I was accidentally skipping parts because some of the parts were written in like a repeating cyclical fashion, since I was listening it through audiobook, so I would accidentally skip those parts, not knowing that I actually was meant to listen to those parts. It was those certain parts get repeated on purpose, and they definitely mean something later in like not just one reveal, I think in several reveals later on within the story. This book made me cry a lot, so much. I think I cried like a total of 5 or 6 times. It just hit home, hit very close to home to me personally. I even cried a bit at my day job as well. Thankfully, I am pretty close to the bathroom where I'm located at my workplace. So I just quickly well, not fast walk, like, yeah, I guess fast walk. I quickly fast walked to the bathroom and just sat in the stall. Well, just letting myself cry a little bit because it was just so sad. There's so many different parts within the story that just are so heart-wrenchingly sad. It also goes with the next note that I put down, which is that loneliness and alienation are also some core themes within this novel, especially in regards to when Brandon grapples or even dismisses some parts of his identity as a mixed-race Asian man throughout some parts of the story as well, which is really heartbreaking and just incredibly sad when you get to those parts, and it's just really pulls at your heartstrings when you get to those points of the story, because especially loneliness is an incredible part of, it's just something that really follows Brandon throughout his life pretty much. When you follow his POV especially, it's just an aspect that is with him even from when he's a child pretty much as well. And I also was like confused at some points when there in the official description it says Flux is a haunting and sometimes shocking exploration of the cyclical nature of grief, of moving past trauma, and of the pervasive nature of whiteness within the development of Asian identity in America. The last part especially I was confused of, because I was like, where is that getting discussed in the story? But I was just like, I forgot. I was not putting on my analysis and nuance glasses in my thinking cap, and I was like, oh, this is done in a very subtle and incredibly nuanced way, which I really, really like. And I was just like, okay, a light bulb just went over my head. Eureka, like my name. And I'm just like, okay, I understand. But yeah, it's such a great book. Oh my gosh, this and I feel like The Violent Conspiracy would probably be my top favorites, even though I also gave the Days at the Morisaki Bookshop 5 stars, but that is more of a light-hearted read, so something that has like a lot of punch. I would definitely recommend The Violent Conspiracy and Flux. And also like the background of the people involved with like the tech startup, that is also super interesting as well. And also there's definitely some interesting discussion about identity and race in regards to when what is it? His name. Try to think of yes. Brandon. When he's talking about Raider, and I think it's very interesting when he also talks about the actor who plays the titular character as well. That is super interesting. Finding out that the actor is just a very awful person, but how that even though the actor of Raider turned out to be an incredibly bad scumbag, he is able to detach his previous adoration of the actor and the character pretty much of Raider, just separating them, which I feel like that is very interesting that it was done in that way, because I think it would also have been different and interesting if the author went in the direction of Brandon not being able to separate the actor's scummy actions and just the character, Raider himself. That would have been interesting as well. But I like the direction that the author took. That Brandon just loves and is just... I don't think it would be inaccurate to say obsessed. He has like a very interesting, not like a dark obsession, it would be just like a baseline fan based obsession with Raider as a character and as an idea, and just encompassing the whole what is it? I'm trying to think of the word. I guess the core of what the show is about, just because he's just so attached to the character. I feel like I can't put it in a way that I wish to. I'm trying to gather my thoughts, but if you do decide to check out the book, it will definitely be, you can basically find out what I'm trying to convey here. Please, I would highly recommend checking out Flux. It's so good, so good. I'm so glad to finally decide to check out this book. But yeah, I would probably recommend all of these books depending on what you like. Even though The Lost Apothecary is probably my lowest rated, although of course, what is it? 3.25, that is not a bad rating. That is a pretty good rating. It's an average rating. Excuse me. But yeah, what I was trying to say is definitely, in my opinion, books that are in the 3 rating, that is not a bad rating at all. Even if it's just a solid 3, I think that's still a pretty good rating. I think what you would consider a bad rating, for me personally, would be a 2, anywhere in the 2-star and lower, essentially. And it can't really count. It would be considered unrated. But yeah, even if it's unrated, I think a 0 star should count. But I know on Goodreads and Storygraph, that's just counted as unrated. But yeah. And of course, with how much I have gushed about this book, I gave Flux a 5 out of 5 stars. It's so good. It's so good. I can't even... I wish I could put into more eloquent words just how much I love this book. I guess this would probably be, with how much I've talked about it, this would probably be my favorite out of all the books I read in January, and I'm happy for it because I'm glad I ended it on such a high note. I know that will probably not happen for the upcoming months, most likely, but we will see. We'll see what I'll be reading in the next few months. For February so far, it's been okay. It's been a slow month. I'm hoping to read a bunch more, so hopefully. So far I've only read 2 books. That will be a super short wrap up if I only read 2 books. But I'm in the middle of another audiobook right now, so hopefully more. But it will probably, so far it's just 3 books. But we will see. I'll just keep trucking along. Hopefully I find a 4 or 5 star as February goes on, which we have 2 more weeks. We have 2 more weeks of February. That is so wild. It's going to be March soon. It's going to be spring. It's going to be spring in the blink of an eye. That is insane. I don't want to think about that. Time is going way too fast. But yes, let me take off Flux from the screen, and I will head into the last section, as I thought I would be meeting almost close to an hour, but I'm not even hitting 50 minutes yet. So I will go to my next segment, which is talking about all the media that I have gotten into this week. So that will encompass music, podcasts, movies, and shows. I have a list of the music that I have listened to. I was going to do... Wait. I didn't even say the name of what this segment is called. Oh my gosh, excuse me. This is Eureka's Media Corner. I am workshopping the title. I might change this later if I find something a little bit better, but for now I will just call it that. So I was at first going to do just 3 songs. I was going to do my top 3 songs of this week, but I just had so many that I just narrowed it down to 5. I need to remember the producers' names because oh jeez. Okay. Give me a couple of seconds. I need to find out the producer's name. So just a little bit of ASMR of my typing really quick. Okay. Okay, awesome. Wait, no, that's the last song. Okay, wait. Okay. Right. Okay, we got that down. Okay, awesome. Wait, let me take a sip of water before I continue. Alrighty, I am back. Okay, so my top 5 songs for this week is, the first one I put down is Romeo and Cinderella, and it is produced by Doriko, for music and lyrics specifically. I love this song. I've been a huge Vocaloid fan since, I had to say 2009, 2010. That is such a long time. But yeah, I love this song. I was listening to a variety of covers. Basically a bunch of V singer covers. And the second song I have here is The Hales. Wait, no, that's the band name. Heaven by The Hales. I actually put this song in my liked songs on Spotify a while ago, but I just rediscovered it when I shuffled my songs. I was like, oh, I forgot how good this song was. So I listened to it on loop a bunch of times while I was at work. Such a good song. It has like a very romantic and robust feel to it. It has like a little bit of an old-fashioned jazzy feel to it as well. Oh, I should have described Romeo and Cinderella. It's basically a huge classic, huge classic song from way back when. And yeah, the song is about from my interpretation, it is Cinderella wanting maybe I thought it was actually like literally Cinderella, but I'm looking at like the background of what the song is actually about, so I guess I was wrong, but I'll just say it anyways. Like Cinderella wanting to have a relationship with her, essentially a man named Romeo, or at least somebody named Romeo. Her parents do not approve of the relationship, and she doesn't want to have like the tragic end of her relationship with this guy ending up like Juliet. She wants it to have a happy ending, like the story of Cinderella, basically. Has some, I mean, especially if you see the art that is usually associated with Romeo and Cinderella, it has some erotic, I can't even say undertones, there's like erotic overtones to it, so there's a little bit of a raunchiness to the song, pretty much, when you see the lyrics. But yeah, it's one of my favorite classical Vocaloid songs, and I love hearing lots of different singers' interpretations of it with their beautiful voices. And number 3 is Lower One's Eyes by Neill. At least I think that's how you pronounce it. Neill. I'll just say Neill for now. Who made the music, lyrics, and the arrangements under the producer credits. This is one of my favorite newer Vocaloid songs, but this song makes me so angry. I can't look at the translated English lyrics for long because I'll just get so mad. I'll get so mad on behalf of the witch, who is one of the main characters in the MV, the animated MV associated with this song. Oh my god, it's a very beautiful song, but I just feel so mad for the witch. But basically it's oh, interesting. I'm looking at the background on the Vocaloid wiki. I did not know this. This song is, it says here, the song is commonly interpreted to be an allusion to the story of Judas and his betrayal of Jesus. Oh, that is really cool. I never saw it as that way. I kind of like, at least from my interpretation of the song, it's sort of like a one-sided, like, toxic relationship. Like, the witch is not a toxic person, but like the maid, she has a lot of things going on with her, especially when you watch the animated MV. But yeah, I see it as like a romantic relationship between the maid and the witch, and spoiler alert, it does not end well for the witch, unfortunately, which makes me super mad. I also think it's very interesting within the music video that the witchcraft, which is seen as like a normal everyday occurrence. Like witchcraft is celebrated within the universe of Lower One's Eyes. So I like that. I like the positive interpretation of witchcraft, but it still does not end well for the poor witch lady in the end, unfortunately. But yeah, I love that song. Of course, it's super popular for V singers, utaites, and people who like and cover Vocaloid songs, pretty much musicians, artists, etc. So it's also really awesome to hear different covers for this song. And the fourth song is one of the producer. Actually, what is his producer name? Okay, yeah, he is just called Giga. Yes. He did the music and the arrangement. Oh, somebody else did the lyrics. Who is called Q Left. That's pretty cool. But yeah, that is one of his newest songs. What? It was uploaded January 6th, 2024. Holy cow, this year actually. Yeah, it's a super new song, and it's, of course, pretty much almost every song that he's produced, it just becomes like a major hit. Deservedly so. I love his music. The MV is awesome. I love the very unique art style of the artist who did the... Okay, so they did not do the animation. So the illustration was done by an artist named Rolwa. Rolwa and Ohisia did the video, so 3D CG, and then Okiku did video and is credited for 2D animation. It's really cool. Yeah, just a very poppy and nice song, talking about what I think is like freedom and doing what you like, doing what you please. Let me look at the lyrics really quick. I guess rule breaking too? It makes some allusions to some of his other songs like Ready Steady, which is nice. I like when artists plug in other songs they worked on and put it in another newer song. But yeah, it's a pretty surface level pop song, so there isn't too much to say about the background of it, but I love it. I love that song. And love listening to the original and the covers as well. And the last one is Ao No Beats by Hanyu Maigo, who did the music and the lyrics. Yeah, this is a very sad song, but it's just so catchy and cool. Yeah, it's... The lyrics are kind of vague to the point where I guess it's pretty much to your interpretation. It's... For me, I would think it seems like it would be a song about... Let me look at the lyrics really quick. I guess a relationship that just did not go well. But the singer in the song wants what they previously had with their lover, I suppose. But they also want the other person to be more honest with their feelings and to say it outright to them about their feelings. Like please reply to me too, for the translated English lyrics. And also they seem to be a little bit unsure with especially the part where they say, my indecisive follow me, and then where is it, we were going to be together forever, and then the last lyric, which is, I want you to say it to me. So there's a lot of different ways you can definitely interpret the song, but that's just how I interpret it for me. Hopefully it wasn't too confusing to follow. I hope I made sense with what I said for the lyrics of the song. But yeah, it has a very melancholy feeling to it. But also I just really love like the music, especially the beats at the beginning and the end, like the rapid fire, like don 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 don. That's so satisfying to hear in the ears. But yeah, those are the 5 songs that I have been listening to for music this week. Next I have podcasts. Oh my gosh. Sorry. My voice cracking. Excuse me, let me take a sip of water. Okay. The podcast that I mostly listen to is, oh my gosh, how could I forget the title? What is it? Off Menu with Ed Gamble and James Acaster, and also the Magnus Protocol, hosted by Rusty Quill. Yeah, for Off Menu, it's basically a podcast where the 2 hosts interview a guest about their dream meal, essentially. And I like listening to that when I eat my lunch. I like listening to what different... Oh, excuse me. Hopefully that didn't pick up. Their dream meal. Some of the guests are comedians that they also know. Both of them are comedians. So of course some of the guests that they have on are comedians, and some of them are celebrities. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, that's basically it. They talk about the guest's dream meal, and yeah, that's basically it. Very nice. It's a very just chatting feel to the podcast. I'm more excited to talk about the Magnus Protocol, which is basically a companion. I would describe it as a companion sequel to the Magnus Archives. So we follow a totally different new group of characters, which at first, while I was I didn't finish the... I'm looking down the episodes right now, so forgive me for the mouse clicking. I was a little bit on the fence on how I would feel for following a new group of people, but you know what? I immediately took to just believing in the team, the people making the Magnus protocol work, especially the writers, which is Jonathan Sims. Wait, why did I call that Johnny Sims? Johnny Sims and Alexander J. Neill. just called him by his legal name. I mean, I guess Jonathan Sims would most likely refer to the previous main character in the Magnus Archive. Although he doesn't go by Jonathan. Everybody calls him John. Oh my god. I don't know why I found that so funny. Yes, it's written by Johnny Sims and Alexander J. Neill. Yeah. And anyway, the story isn't even funny. Why? Okay. But yeah, I really, it's awesome. I love the new characters, especially Sam. If I had to pick like a favorite character, it would be Sam. I love Sam. He's awesome. I like how he's so snoopy and he wants to find out like what's going on. I feel like there's something more to the job than just being an office worker, reading and listening to these audio logs of weird supernatural happenings to all of these people. So I want him to dig more into it, even though I know it's just not going to end well for him at the end. I love Alice, his school friend from college. I don't remember if they knew each other more from their college days, but they've known each other for a long time, it seems. I love her. I love her snappy, sarcastic personality. She's a great contrast between Sam's more quiet and more. What is it? What else? How would you describe him? Like like his private self. We don't know too much about his background, although we can like glean a little bit from what we know from all the episodes released so far. So we know that he is sorry, some of these are probably minor spoilers. I won't spoil anything major within the episodes that are currently out, but I guess I will dub this as more of minor spoilers for the podcast. But yeah, we know that he was previously unemployed for a bit before he got the job at, it's not the Magnus Institute. Where are they working? Okay. Let me go look it up really quick. Let's see. What the Magnus Protocol is the prequel / sequel / sidequel. What in the world? Okay. I mean, that's on the official website of Rusty Quill, so dang. 25 years later, I forgot about that. Oh my god. This is like, yes, this is like very modern. Okay, so he works at the Office of Incident Assessment and Response. Oh yes, and the really cool thing, like for Magnus Archives, everything is heard from recorders, audio recorders. And this one is super interesting because we are hearing audio from security video cameras. So it's definitely a much more modern feel with this I'll just say it to what I believe it is a companion sequel. Yes. And yes, let me try to get my thoughts together. I like that. That's really cool and creative. Who else? We have, okay, what's their boss's name? Okay, Lena. Yeah, Lena is their boss. She kind of gives off a little bit of like sort of a Gertrude kind of vibe to her, but not exactly. She's not as mean and cold as Gertrude. And then we have Gwen. Gwen Bouchard, which I'm just like, I'm looking at the last name and I'm just like, Bouchard. Did Elias have a kid or something? Like, Bouchard. I'm like, so what's your deal? That's what I'm thinking. I have like the eyes emoji at her, like, are you related to him? Are you his granddaughter or something? So that would be very interesting. I wasn't thinking there would be any continuations of previous characters, but I think she's essentially the only character that we know from the main cast so far, who has any sort of relationship with a previous character within like the Magnus archives. But yes, and then of course, Alex and Johnny also make cameo appearances as the, I guess you would call them the AI narration voices of Norris and Chester, which is pretty interesting. I'm not sure if they will be revealed to actually be like the voices of John and Martin. Why did I say it like the way? Martin. I'm like, said it in like a British way. Martin. But we'll see about that. I'm not. It's only 5 episodes so far, so I can't tell. And then there's a third like narration voice. Who is it? It's in the. Sheesh. Oh wait. Why did it do that? I was literally at the bottom of the page. Okay, wait. Let me scroll down a little bit. Not a little bit, a lot. Personal screening, taking notes. Is it taking notes? Yes. Yeah. That's the Klaus or Augustus. Either, I think it's Augustus. Augustus is the third narration voice. Oh, this sucks. Oh my gosh, it just takes me all the way to the top again. Oh geez. Yeah, so there's Norris, Chester, and Augustus. And Augustus is said to be the rarest voice to do the narration for the incident audio logs, which is super interesting. I wonder why he is explicitly listed as the rare voice that pops up. I'm sure we'll get an explanation for it later. Okay, this is sort of spoilers for the latest episode, which is, what is it called? I'm very surprised that they decided to do this kind of modern oh geez, this is gonna take a little bit. Come on. Okay, we're almost there. Okay. The latest episode is called Introductions. And we are introduced to, I am not sure, like a serial killer character. We don't know his formal name because he is listed as Needles in the for voice credits. But I mean, I guess it would be really funny if his name is actually Needles, but I feel like that's just a placeholder name. So that's very interesting. I feel like that does give off a little bit of a more present vibe, since the Magnus Protocol is essentially within our current time, I think. Not exactly sure what year, but definitely sometime in the probably 2020s, maybe 2018, 2019 era of the present, possibly. Because it says 25 years after the Magnus archive, so 1999 is when the Magnus Institute burned down. So, oh god, I gotta do math. I'm not good at math. 1999, 25 years. Okay, let's see. Let me mute my mic while I do math in my head and take a drink of water. Oh crap, it's 2023? That's just last year. Whoa. Okay. Oh my god. I didn't think it would be that so recent. That's insane. Interesting. I'm wondering what other modern-ish or modern elements will be incorporated into this sequel, companion sequel. We will see. I'm really loving it so far. The plot is definitely picking up a lot more quicker, I believe. Probably because we're following Sam, and I guess Alice would be considered probably the more main, like the main characters of the show. But if I would have to pick who would be like the main protag, it would probably be Sam. And he seems to want to really get down to the bottom of things for why are they reviewing all of these strange incidents and whatnot, and what's really going on within their office building essentially and stuff, and why are all the policies so odd. We will see. That is all I will say for that. I have not watched any new movies, although I do want to watch movies at some point. I'm wondering if I want to do movie review streams and or videos, but that totally brings on a whole different crowd of people for those sorts of things works. So I will think about that and see what I decide later on, because I'm still a little bit unsure if I want to do that. But I want to take advantage of the Canopy account that I have given to me by my local library. So we will see. There's a lot of movies that I've saved on my to watch list, so I can't wait to begin watching movies sooner or later. For shows, I actually got to watch an anime recently, and I really enjoyed it so far. I really need to get back and continue it. What is it? Let me look it up really quick. Oh, it's a Seventh Time Loop, or oh my gosh, this is a super long. I didn't realize the title was that long, but I mean it is an isekai title, so they're always infamously long. So the whole title is called Seventh Time Loop. The villainess enjoys a carefree life married to her worst enemy. And it is the novel series is written by Toko Amekawa. It's also written by her as well, and illustrated by Wan Hachi Pisu for the light novel, and for the manga it's also written by Toko Amekawa, and it's illustrated by Hinoki Kino. But yes, I watched a couple, I think 3 or 4, up to episode 3 or 4, and I really love it so far. So basically it is about this noble woman named Reese Waitzner, I think. Yeah, Reese Waitzner, and she each time loop begins with her engagement to one of her local crown prince gets broken by him, and then she goes and lives out her life in various different ways, either becoming, like, for example, a merchant or becoming a doctor. But out of all of this, I think she's on the 7th loop. So the previous 6 loops, they all end up with her dying a pretty violent or tragic death, and it's usually revolved around the Prince Arnold of the neighboring Gaokine kingdom, which that kingdom becomes, on the Wikipedia page, is the source of a world war, pestilence, resource depletion, and even direct murder in all her previous loops. And then in this current one, she meets up with him and eventually is proposed to by him, which really throws her off. But she agrees, and with a set of with like a set of like rules she implements for him to follow within their relationship. She observes him and sees what might have happened to make him out to be like the monster that he is in the previous time loops. So it's very interesting. I really like it. I like that she is a very strong and resourceful main character. She's very skilled in a variety of I guess skills. She has a lot of things that she's learned from her past lives. So all of them are, she knows how to be a merchant, an herbalist, not a doctor, an herbalist, a scholar, a maid, a hunter, and a knight. So she implements and uses all of the skills she learned in those occupations in her current life as now the fiance of Arnold, essentially. And she wants to find out more about what's going on and the happenings of the kingdom of, Gaokine? Yeah, Gaokine. And I love that. I usually do not like isekai stories. Well, this is not an isekai story, actually. Never mind, it's not an isekai story. But it is a time loop story, but thankfully the time loop factor is really brushed over in the beginning, in the first episode pretty much. Like, it just goes over all of her past lives, and then bam, we're back in the present, which is nice. I'm glad that the author... Oh, excuse me, sorry. Give me a few seconds. The author pretty much goes over all of the past life stuff pretty fast, and we just get right back into the present, which I really appreciate. So I am glad for that, and I'm really enjoying the anime so far, so perhaps sometime in the future I will pick up... Okay, let's see, which one has gotten published so far? Translated in English, I mean. Okay, so the light novel has been translated by 7 Seas, and the manga, so... Okay, both of them are still... even including the original novel series, they are all still ongoing, so... Okay, so the light novel has 6 volumes, and the manga has 5. Okay, I think I will probably start with the light novel because that's one of the original ones. I mean, I'll probably read the manga at some point too, but... Oh, excuse me. I'll read the manga at some point too, but I think I'd like to start with the novel version first. But yeah, very nice. I think there are like a couple of stories, books that have a similar kind of premise. The Raeliana story too. It's not similar, but because that one is actually an isekai story, but I really enjoyed that. I talked about it in a previous wrap up. But yes, I like those. I like stories where the female character she uses something that she knows from her past, or in this case past lives, to her advantage. And I just like that she's a very good-natured and good-hearted lady too. So I think it's kind of funny that she's called the villainess in the title when she's not really one at all. I think that's kind of, I don't know, actually, maybe she does turn into a villainess in the current 7th time loop that she's in. But we will see. I don't know yet, so I will need to get more into the series to find out if that's actually true or not. But yeah, that and the Raeliana story, they have similar vibes, but both of the stories are essentially their own thing. Yeah, I would really recommend that if you enjoy isekai, even isekai female leads who have strong characteristics. And if you like stories that are set in like, not a medieval, like what is it? It's not medieval. Is it medieval? It just like an olden times European inspired fantasy world, I suppose. This is something for you. Yeah, that is, yes, I suppose that will conclude Eureka's Media Corner review for now. If I will try to talk about end each wrap up with this sort of segment, so let me know what you think of that. But yeah, Ukai. Thank you so much for tuning in for my January wrap-up, aka also my cash catch-up. I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know what you think. If you like this, please leave a like and or subscribe if this is something that you enjoyed. And yeah, I hope you have, oh my gosh, sorry. I hope you all, oh my gosh, why do I keep on tripping over my words? Sorry. I hope you all have a good rest of your day or night, wherever you may be in this big world. Make sure if you want to check me out on other places, my socials are linked below, and everything that is used for assets is credited below. I'll make sure to double check. I think I missed something. But yes. Thank you for tuning in. Until... oh my gosh, sorry. I'm losing my train of thought. Until the next stream and or video. Eureka Forsyth. Wait, whoops. Forgive me. IDU Unit 01, Eureka Forsyth, signing off. Bye bye!